Now this lecture is going to be a short lecture, but it's really important. We're learning about Django apps. Now, some terminology here. Whenever you're creating a website with Django, your website is essentially the project. It's the top level big thing. And then inside of your projects can be one or many apps inside of there. And think of apps as parts of your website. So for example, my Zappy Code website, the project is Zappy Code, but within that website, I offer courses. And so there is an app for courses. I offer tutorials. And so there is an app for tutorials. If I were to create a blog, there would be a blog app, and the list kind of goes on. If you have an authentication system, that's like a separate app. So think of apps as pieces of your website. Now, they're all kind of arbitrary. You could technically create a whole Django website with one single app. That's fine. But people like to break things out into apps because it sort of helps with the code that, there's space in between things and it doesn't get too crowded. But this website that we're making is incredibly simple. We only need one app inside of it. And so let's go ahead and create that now. We're just going to give it the name generator, right? We're building a password generator. We'll call this app generator. So let's go ahead and quit out of our server here in the terminal, do a Control-C. And then I'm going to use the manage.py just like I did to run the server. But instead of running the server, I'm going to say Python 3, might be just Python for you, manage.py. And then here I'm going to say start app, make sure there's no spaces there, and then give a name for your app. Again, this is make sure there's no spaces in the name of this. I'm just going to simply call mine generator. Okay, so I'll go ahead and hit enter on that. And when I've done that, if you notice here over inside of our code editor, there's an entire new folder that's been added to our project. And if we click on that, we can see, whoa, there's lots of new files that have been created. And there's even a folder within that. Lots of different pieces here. Now, don't get overwhelmed by all these different pieces here. And in fact, in this website, we're only going to be dealing with this one file here called views.py. But in order for this to work, now that we've created an app and we've put it into our project, we have to let our settings know that we just added an app. So let's go ahead and edit our settings inside of password generator. And I've just noticed we still have our eggs.sqlite3. I'm going to go ahead and delete that file. Not that it's getting in the way, but I just think it's weird if we still have that. So go to your settings file. And somewhere near the top here, you can see there's this installed apps, which is a list of a bunch of different strings here. And we're going to add one to the end of it. So go ahead, make a new line, do your string, and I'm going to add a comma on it so that, it continues to be a running list there. And all we have to do is simply type out the name of the app. So in this case, it's going to be generator, just like that. And we'll go ahead and save this. See, it just matches the same thing that we have here, except, glad I double checked. Generator. Great. We've got the spelling there. So let's go ahead and save this. And now if we go back to our terminal and we run our server, we should have no issues here. Okay. So nothing fun essentially has happened in this lecture. All we did was add this app here, but you're going to see where this comes into play in the next lecture. And if you're ever creating a project and you need to remember what were apps about, come back to this lecture and this will give you a nice refresher. The big thing to remember, there is a top level project, which is your website, and then you can have one or many apps inside of that project.